It's always late at night. That's when the orders come in. When the streets are empty. When the lights in most houses are already off. And when the only people still awake are the ones you don't want to meet. Most people think pizza delivery is simple. Pick up the order, drive to the address, drop it off, leave. But what they don't think about is who's waiting on the other side of that door. And sometimes, it's not who you expect. Jason had been delivering pizzas for almost 2 years. College student, night shifts, extra cash, nothing unusual, nothing dangerous. At least that's what he thought. Because most of his deliveries were normal. Families, couples, late-night gamers, nothing strange, nothing worth remembering. Until one night, he got an order that didn't feel right. It was just after midnight. The store was quiet, only a few orders left. Jason was already thinking about going home. Then the phone rang. The manager picked up, talked briefly, wrote something down, then turned to Jason. One more delivery. Jason sighed slightly. What is it? The manager handed him the receipt. Cash order. Already paid over the phone. Jason frowned. Paid already? Then why cash? The manager shrugged. Guy insisted. Jason looked at the address. It was far, out past the main neighborhoods, near the edge of town, where houses were spread out. Less light, less people. He hesitated just for a second, then grabbed the order. All right. Last one. He stepped outside. The air was colder than before. The parking lot empty. Quiet. Too quiet. He got into his car, started the engine, and drove. The city lights faded behind him quickly. Street lights became fewer. The road darker. The houses more distant. Eventually, there were no houses at all. Just long stretches of road, trees on either side, and silence. Jason checked the GPS again. Still correct. Still heading to the right place. But something felt off. The kind of feeling you can't explain. The kind you ignore, because you don't want to seem paranoid. After a few more minutes, he saw it. A house, alone, set back from the road. No lights on, no cars outside, just darkness. Jason slowed down, pulled into the driveway, gravel crunching under his tires. He parked, sat there for a moment, looking at the house. Something wasn't right. It didn't feel like someone lived there. It felt empty. But the order was clear. This was the address. He grabbed the pizza, stepped out of the car. The air felt colder here. Still, no wind, no sound. He walked toward the door, each step louder than it should be. He knocked. Nothing. He knocked again. Still nothing. Jason shifted slightly. Hello? Delivery. Silence. Then, a sound. From inside. A slow, dragging noise. Jason froze. Listened. The sound stopped. Then, nothing. He stepped back slightly, debating. Then, the door creaked open. Just a little. Jason's heart skipped. Hello? No answer. He pushed the door slightly. It opened wider. The inside was dark, completely dark. No lights, no movement, just black. Jason didn't step inside. He stayed at the door. Pizza delivery. Silence.
Thank you for
Then,
coming inside.
A voice from inside, low, weak. Bring it in. Jason felt something tighten in his chest. I can just leave it here. Pause. Then, I can't come to the door. Something about the voice felt wrong. Not just weak, not just tired. Wrong. Like it didn't sound natural. Jason hesitated. His instincts speaking now, telling him something was off. But he ignored it. Because it was just a delivery. Just a house. Just a person inside. Right. He stepped inside. One step. Then another. The darkness swallowed the light from outside. The door slowly creaked shut behind him.
Destination
Jason
reached.
turned instantly, but it was already closed. His heart started beating faster. Hello? No response. Then, a faint light. From deeper inside the house. A hallway. Dim, barely visible. And at the end, a shape. Standing. Jason squinted. Hey, I've got your... The shape didn't move. Didn't respond. Just stood there. Jason took a step forward. Then, he heard it. Behind him. A breath. Close, too close. Jason spun around. Nothing. Just the door. Closed. Locked. He grabbed the handle. Tried it. Wouldn't open. His breathing changed. Faster. Shallow. Then the voice again. But this time, from the hallway. You came inside. Jason turned slowly. The shape at the end of the hallway was gone.
Straight ahead.
Completely gone. The light flickered, and suddenly, there were more shapes, standing in the darkness, watching, not moving, not speaking, just there. Jason backed away, heart pounding. What is this? No answer. Then, all at once, the lights turned on. Bright, blinding. Jason covered his eyes, and when he lowered his hand, the house was empty. Completely empty. No shapes, no movement, nothing. Just him, standing alone, in the middle of the room. The door behind him was now open, wide. Jason didn't wait. He ran, dropped the pizza, sprinted to the car, hands shaking as he started the engine. He didn't look back, didn't stop, not until he reached the main road, breathing heavy, heart racing, trying to understand what just happened. When he got back to the store, the manager looked confused. "You're back already?" Jason nodded. "Yeah, weird house. No one there." The manager frowned. "What address?" Jason told him. The manager's face changed. Slowly. That place was demolished 2 years ago. Jason felt the world tilt slightly. "What? There's nothing there?" Jason didn't respond. Because he knew what he saw and what he heard. And the worst part, as he checked the receipt again, he noticed something he hadn't seen before. At the bottom, written in small, uneven handwriting. "Thank you for coming inside. Most deliveries don't stay with you. You forget the address. You forget the customer. You forget the night. Everything blends together. But sometimes, there's one delivery that doesn't let you forget, no matter how much you try, no matter how much time passes. Because it doesn't end when you leave. It follows you." Ethan worked late shifts, always the same schedule, 6 p.m. to closing. Most nights were predictable, busy at first, then quiet, then just a few random orders before shutting down. He liked it. Less pressure, less traffic, less people. But there was one thing he didn't like. Apartment deliveries. Because apartments are different. You don't just walk up, you don't just knock, you go inside. Hallways, stairs, elevators, corners you can't see around, doors you don't recognize, and sometimes people watching you from places you don't notice. That night started normal, nothing unusual, just orders, back and forth, routine, until the last delivery came in. It was around 1:30 a.m. Late, too late for most people to be ordering food. The manager handed him the receipt. Last one. Ethan glanced at it. Apartment complex, building C room 214, paid online, no tip. He sighed slightly. Apartments at that hour never felt right, but it was the last order. He grabbed the pizza, got in his car, and drove. The city felt different at that time. Empty streets, dark windows, no movement, like everything had shut down, except him. The apartment complex came into view after about 10 minutes. Old, run down. Half the lights outside weren't working. The parking lot was mostly empty. Only a few cars scattered around. Ethan parked, sat there for a second, looking at the building. Something about it felt off. Too quiet. No music, no voices, no TVs, nothing. Just silence. He grabbed the pizza, stepped out. The air felt colder here. Heavy, like the place hadn't been lived in properly. He walked toward Building C. The entrance door was slightly open, just enough to slip through. He pushed it gently. It creaked, loud, echoing through the hallway. Ethan stepped inside. The hallway stretched long, dim lights flickering overhead. The walls stained, the air stale, and the smell. Something old, something damp, something wrong. He walked slowly, looking for the stairs, each step echoing, too loud, like someone else should have been there, but wasn't. He found the stairs, climbed to the second floor, The hallway there was worse, darker, quieter, like the sound from below didn't reach it. He checked the number, 214, down the hall, to the right. Ethan started walking, and that's when he noticed it. Doors, slightly open, just a crack, on both sides, like someone had left them that way, or like someone was watching. Ethan tried not to look, tried to ignore it, but he felt it, eyes, from inside those rooms, watching him pass. He reached room 214. The door was closed, no light underneath, no sound from inside. He knocked. Nothing. Knocked again. Still nothing. Ethan shifted slightly. Pizza delivery. Silence. Then, a voice. From inside. Come in. Ethan froze. The voice was low, flat, emotionless. He didn't like it. I can just leave it here. Pause. Then, I already paid. Something about the way it said that felt wrong, like it wasn't answering him, like it was repeating something. Ethan hesitated, his instincts kicking in, telling him to leave, to just drop it and go. But he didn't, because it was his job. He reached for the handle, turned it, unlocked. He pushed the door open slowly. The room was dark, completely dark, no lights, no movement, just black. Ethan didn't step in fully. He stood at the doorway. Hello? No response. Then the voice again, from deeper inside. Close the door. Ethan's chest tightened. I'm good right here. Silence. Then, close it. This time it sounded closer. Ethan stepped back slightly. No, I'll just leave it. And then, the door behind him slammed shut. Hard. Loud. Ethan spun around instantly. Tried the handle. Locked. His heart started pounding. Fast. Too fast. Hey. No answer. The room felt colder now. The darkness heavier, like it was pressing in. Then, a sound. Behind him. A step. Soft. Slow. Ethan turned slowly, his eyes trying to adjust, trying to see. And then, he saw it. A shape. Standing in the middle of the room. Tall. Still. Watching him. Ethan's voice shook. Where's the money? The shape didn't move, didn't respond, just stood there. Then, another shape. Behind it, then another, and another, standing, watching, silent. Ethan backed toward the door, heart racing. What is this? No answer. Then, the first shape moved, just slightly, its head tilting, like it was studying him. And then, all at once, they stepped forward. Ethan slammed against the door, trying to open it, pulling, pushing, nothing. Then, a whisper, right next to his ear. You shouldn't have come in. Ethan screamed, turned, swung blindly. Nothing. But the shapes were closer now. Too close. He could feel them, surrounding him, watching him breathing, but not like humans. Slower, heavier, wrong. Then the lights flickered just once, and in that moment, Ethan saw their faces, or what looked like faces, too pale, too stretched, eyes too wide, smiling, but not human. The lights went out again, complete darkness, and then silence, no movement, no breathing, nothing. Ethan stopped moving, stopped breathing, waiting, listening. Then a click, the door, unlocking, slowly. Ethan didn't wait. He grabbed the handle, pulled it open, ran down the hallway, not looking back, not stopping. The doors on both sides were now wide open, completely dark inside, empty. But as he ran past, he heard something. Whispers. From inside each room. Stay, come back, don't leave. Ethan reached the stairs, ran down, burst through the front door, into the parking lot, breathing hard, heart pounding violently. He didn't stop until he got in his car, locked the doors, started the engine, and drove. Fast. Too fast. He didn't look back. Didn't slow down. Not until he reached the main road. When he got back to the store, he was shaking. The manager looked up. What happened? Ethan tried to speak. Couldn't. Just handed him the receipt. The manager looked at it, frowned, then looked back at Ethan. That building, he paused, was evacuated months ago. Ethan's stomach dropped. What? No one lives there anymore. Ethan didn't respond because he knew what he saw, what he heard, and as he looked down at the receipt again, his hand started shaking even more because at the bottom, where the tip should have been, there was something written, not printed, written in uneven, scratched letters. We're still here. Most deliveries end at the door. You hand over the food, you say thank you, you leave, and that's it. End of interaction, end of story. But sometimes, the delivery doesn't end when you leave. Sometimes, it comes with you. Ryan had been delivering pizzas for less than a month. New job, new routine, still getting used to late nights, still getting used to being alone on empty streets. But nothing had gone wrong yet. Nothing strange, nothing worth worrying about. Until that night. It was his last delivery, just after 2 a.m. The store was closing, lights being turned off, chairs stacked, everyone ready to go home. The manager handed him the box, last one. Then you're done. Ryan nodded, looked at the receipt, normal address, regular house, nothing unusual. He grabbed the pizza, headed out. The streets were empty, completely empty. No cars, no people, just street lights and shadows. Ryan drove quietly, radio low, trying to stay awake, trying to stay focused. After about 10 minutes, he reached the address, a small house at the end of a street, only one light on. Porch light, dim, flickering slightly. Ryan parked,
Delivery.
Grabbed the pizza, walked
something.
up to the door, knocked. Nothing. Knocked again. Still nothing. He shifted slightly. Delivery. Silence. Then, a voice from inside. Leave it. Ryan frowned. You already paid. Pause. Then, just leave it. Something about the voice felt off. Not scared, not tired, just flat, empty. Ryan hesitated, then placed the pizza on the ground, stepped back. All right, have a good night, no response. He turned, walked back to his car, got in, started the engine. But before he pulled away, something made him look back. The door. It was open now, slowly, quietly, and someone was standing there, watching him. Ryan froze. Just for a second, the figure didn't move, didn't wave, didn't speak, just stood there, completely still. Ryan swallowed, turned forward, and drove, trying to ignore it, trying not to think about it, but something felt wrong, very wrong. He checked his mirror. The figure was still there, standing in the doorway, watching. Ryan drove faster. The house disappeared behind him, the streetlights passing quickly, the silence in the car growing heavier. Then, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it. A message from the store. Did you complete the delivery? Ryan frowned. He grabbed his phone quickly, typed back. Yeah, left it at the door. The reply came instantly. That's not possible. Ryan's grip tightened. What do you mean? A few seconds passed. Then, that address canceled the order. Ryan's stomach dropped. What? They called back. Said they never ordered anything. Ryan's heart started pounding fast, too fast. He looked in the mirror again. The road behind him was empty. No cars, no movement, nothing. But something felt wrong, still. Then, he heard it. A soft sound from the back seat, like fabric shifting. Ryan froze. Slowly, he looked in the mirror. At the back seat, nothing, just darkness, empty. He exhaled slightly, just my head. Then, a whisper from behind him. You left too early. Ryan slammed on the brakes. The car screeched to a stop. His breathing turned heavy, shallow. He didn't move, didn't turn, because he knew if he did, he might see something. And if he saw it, it might not go away. The whisper came again. Closer. I didn't get my order. Ryan's hands shook on the steering wheel. His voice barely worked. I left it. Silence. Then, come back. Ryan shook his head. No. Then, a sound right next to his ear. A slow inhale. Come back. Ryan snapped. He turned. Fast. Violent. And for a split second, he saw it. Sitting in the back seat. A figure, tall, still, smiling, too wide. Then, it was gone. Completely gone. The seat empty again. Ryan gasped, started the car, drove, faster than before, not stopping, not thinking, just trying to get away. When he reached the store, he jumped out, ran inside. The manager looked up. "You okay?" Ryan nodded quickly. Yeah, I'm fine. But he wasn't. Not even close. He went home that night, tried to sleep, tried to forget. But he couldn't, because every time he closed his eyes, he saw it, sitting there, smiling, watching. And then, the next night, he heard it again. A knock at his door. Late, too late. Ryan sat up slowly, heart pounding. The knock came again, soft, slow. He stood, walked to the door, carefully, looked through the peephole. Nothing, just darkness. He stepped back, confused. Then, a voice from the other side. Delivery. Ryan's blood ran cold. Because it was his voice, exactly his voice. You forgot something. Ryan didn't move, didn't breathe. The voice continued. I'm still waiting. Then, something scratched against the door. Slow, deliberate. And then, silence, complete. Ryan never opened that door, not that night. Not ever, because deep down, he knew something. That delivery never ended. And somewhere, something was still waiting for him to come back.